so you're not sure you know how to use physics terms to describe objects in motion. Well, let's see what we can do about that. Let's give you some examples to see if that doesn't help. When an object moves, its location undergoes change. There are two quantities that are used to describe this changing location. One quantity is distance. Distance is the cumulative total amount of change of location over the course of motion. This is the path, whereas displacement is only concerned with the initial and final positions of the object. Displacement is the overall change. It's basically the difference between your starting and your stopping point. Now, using these terms, we can talk about if an object is moving for 10 seconds and has zero displacement, what has that object done? To describe that, we can talk about the fact that the object has traveled on a path for 5 seconds and then returned to its original position after another 5 seconds, giving a total resulting displacement of 0. You run from your house to your friend's house, then you walk home. The distance between your house and your friend's house is 3 miles away. You can describe this in terms of, I traveled a distance of 6 miles. My displacement for the entire trip was 0 miles. Two more terms. Speed and velocity are two quantities in physics that seem at first glance to have the same meaning. However, speed is the quantity that describes how fast or slow an object is moving, whereas velocity is the quantity that is defined as the rate at which an object's position changes. Speed is simply a measurement of distance traveled over amount of time that it's taken, whereas velocity includes the concept of speed, but also looks at direction. We are looking at the rate at which the motion has changed, or the rate at which the position has changed. Let's give an example. You have 3 paths, A, B, and C. Along which path would you have to move with the greatest speed to arrive at the destination in the same amount of time? The answer that you might have picked should be C. And why is that? Describing it in physics terms, you had to travel, your position had to change the greatest in the same amount of time, giving you the greatest speed. Here's a question for you. Is it possible for an object to move 10 seconds at high speed and end up with an average velocity of 0? The answer is yes. How would you describe that in physics terms? The object traveled a distance. However, in traveling that distance, it had 0 displacement. Therefore, since it had 0 displacement, it would have an average velocity of 0. Two more terms. Instantaneous speed and average speed. The instantaneous speed of an object is the speed that the object has at any given moment in time. This instantaneous speed is oftentimes what we see when we are looking at our speedometer. It is telling you what speed you have at that moment. Now, this doesn't always move at a steady pace. As a result, the instantaneous speed is almost always constantly changing. Think about how your speedometer adjusts as you are going through your trip, speeding up, slowing down, changing directions. For an automobile, the instantaneous speed is the speedometer reading. The average speed is simply the average of the speedometer readings taken at regular intervals. Now, of course, the easier way of determining average speed is simply to use distance over time. Acceleration. An object that has changing its velocity is accelerating. So what are three controls in an automobile that cause it to accelerate? Remember, it's speeding up, it's slowing down, and changing direction. So what are the three controls in an automobile? Speeding up would be your accelerator. Slowing down, your brakes. And direction would be your steering wheel. So you could say your accelerator causes a positive acceleration, the brakes cause a negative acceleration, and that your steering wheel causes a change in direction, causing a centripetal acceleration. Now it's important to remember that acceleration is the rate at which an object's velocity changes. Now the velocity of an object refers to how fast it moves and in what direction. The acceleration of an object refers to how fast the object changes its speed or its direction. Objects with a high acceleration are rapidly changing their speed or their direction. As a rate quantity, acceleration is the change in velocity over time.